All right, what is up, gamers? Today we're going to talk about a new method to reset your dungeons as a solo player that allows you to preserve your elixirs, which is pretty incredible. So the standard method, if you don't know about it, and a lot of people are always asking questions, how do you reset your dungeons as a solo player? The standard method is the one that I've explained previously in another video. I'll talk about that right now because the new method might get nerfed. So just in case you want to know, this is what it's going to be. We have to get through some loading screens and whatnot. But the way that it's going to work is that if I want to be running this instance in particular as a solo player, I enter the ruins, I go through the loading screen, and as we get into the instance, we're going to be running around, killing monsters, doing whatever, which I'm not going to be showing you here. And then at the end of the instance, you're going to be using your escape dungeon, which I have key bound, which you should have as well. And that is going to put you outside of the dungeon. And as we're loading in, we're going to be exiting the game. And now there is some sort of rule, and I don't know what it has to do, and Blizzard is constantly changing these things, where depending on some factor that I can't quite pinpoint, some players can click exit game immediately and they will get exited. And they will be instantly able to enter the game and their character will not be in danger in case they're playing in hardcore. But for me, I have to actually wait, and if I wait out the entire timer, my character is no longer in game. I am currently safe. I can enter the game, and if I enter the dungeon, my dungeon will be reset. But the problem with this method is that you do not preserve your potion, because if you exit the game, you will in fact lose your potion that you had previously applied, which, having to reuse a potion every 1 minute run is kind of a big deal. So here is the new method that kind of feels like a bug. I don't know. We're going to have to find out. Take any Nightmare Sigil from the difficulty that you are currently playing on. So you have to make sure to pay attention to that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to enter the dungeon. For me, it's going to be any random one. This one right here, tier 33. And it's going to be Onyx Hold, which is very nice because it's right next to a waypoint as I'm trying to attempt to not die to a bunch of exploders. So, I'm going to run to this dungeon. I'm going to teleport there, as a matter of fact. And all that you got to do is teleport over to the dungeon that you just opened, right? With your Nightmare Sigil. Enter this dungeon. And as you load in, you're not really going to do anything. All that you're going to be doing is exiting it, but not in the same way that we've explained previously. You're going to teleport out. You're teleporting. You are not exiting the dungeon. You are teleporting. Keep that in mind. So in my case, I want to be farming Ruins of Eridu, and it doesn't matter what kind of sigil you use. It can be any sigil. I think probably you don't want it to be the same instance that you're going to be running. So again, for me, it was Onyx Hold on the Nightmare Dungeon, but I want to be running the ruins. And as I teleport out, I go to the city, I go to the waypoint, and I'm running back over while getting lost on the way. And now, if I enter this instance that I want to be running and mess around in it, do whatever I want. At this point, I've sufficiently cleared the dungeon. And I will, in fact, be teleporting out. You are no longer escaping the dungeon. You are teleporting out. And as you teleport out, you can do all of your vendoring. You can do whatever you want. You have the same access to town however you want. But upon entrance back in, your dungeon will be magically reset. I'm pretty sure it's a bug. It's not any form of duping or anything. There are some people that are duping Nightmare Dungeons or whatever. But you are in fact running just a regular Ruins of Eridu. You are not running the Nightmare Dungeon or anything like that. You're not duplicating anything. And the dungeon, as you can tell, is in fact reset. And if we were to have an elixir, we never logged out. And so the elixir always stays. It's super duper useful. I highly recommend it. It saves you a ton of time from logging out and waiting on loading screens and all of this sort of stuff. And yeah, you should probably use this until it gets nerfed, especially with everybody farming Ruins of Eridu, running it in 1 minute, 1 minute 30 seconds. You know, those 30 seconds of loading screens and exiting and entering back in really does make a difference on top of the poison resist. My chat is telling me to credit Boba. Boba, I'm crediting you as he was the one to bring it up in my chat, and it has made a tremendous difference so far in my runs. Also keep in mind that you can do this an unlimited amount of times, right? Obviously, you won't have to reopen a new Nightmare Dungeon every time. You can just do this once and it'll stay. But the rule being that your Nightmare Dungeons, unfortunately, do reset when you log out. So keep that in mind, that if you log out, your Nightmare Dungeon will no longer be showing on the map. And you will no longer, in fact, be able to do this, and you're going to have to reapply the sigil. My Onyx hold is here right now, but if I were to log out, it will, in fact, be removed, and I won't be able to do this until I reapply a new sigil to any dungeon that I would ever want on the entire map, as long as it is not the dungeon that I am trying to run myself. So Ruins of Eridu. So good luck, gamers. I don't know when this is going to get changed, but it surely will. Until then, make sure to grind out as much XP as possible. Have fun, boys.